What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about bank repos, how to actually buy them, do a correct valuation, not only from a physical standpoint, which we're going to show you on some of these cars, but also from the number standpoint. There's a lot of dealers that live and die off of MMR, and I'm going to show you how you get your ass handed to you if you live and die off of MMR. So we're going to show you some of the apps and some of the strategies we use, and how we actually bid on cars and how we purchase these. Now, I had another video planned today, but we did a video about last week about the repo apocalypse, how there's more and more cars coming up for repo, and I just got a call from a bank in LA. They got over 68 repos just this week alone, and they have over 500 on the books for this month. So I'm actually driving down to LA right after I finish this video. So the repo apocalypse is happening. People that keep saying that, oh, the cars are just going to go up and up, there's no price in sight. I'm telling you, once these repos start hitting the market, banks are going to start tightening up, lending is going to get harder, the supply is going to start to build up, demand's going to start to dwindle, and the prices will adjust. It takes time for all this stuff to go through, but I'm not going to get into that. We're just going to go into how to actually buy repos. Now, if you look behind me, there's a few cars. I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around, and we're going to go ahead and show you some of the cars, how we look at them, how we bid on them, and the software we use to make our numbers. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is my car. It's a 2021 Audi R8. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put right up here MMR for this vehicle. Now, it's between anywhere from like 100 and I think 79 to about 190,000 just off the top of my head. But that's what these things are going for at the auction. And I've seen some of these go for even more than that, which is crazy. And then once it hits the secondary market, it completely changes. Now, I just scanned this one just to give you kind of an idea. The software we're going to be talking about today is called Laser Appraiser. Now, the reason why I want to talk to you guys about this software is it's very important because not only does it give you vehicle values and some really great information on cars like this, but also ones like this. This is the first generation Tesla. There's not a lot of these things here. Sometimes Manheim doesn't give you all the numbers, so MMR could be skewed, which I'm going to show you here in a second. Next one, we have another car that's kind of rare, is an Aston Martin DB11. Beautiful car. We just got this one from LA. This is an actual bank repo. I'm going to do a video about this one by itself, but it is a beautiful car. We just did the brakes. That was about 6,000 bucks. If you watch me on Instagram, make sure you follow us. It's at Lucky Lopez. I have some funny videos of us going to Aston Martin buying $6,000 worth of brake pads. We got to do a little bit of body work, buffing some stuff out. But the one thing I want to talk about is the vehicle values. These numbers are all skewed. A lot of this stuff is not what it seems. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the camera, and we're actually going to get started on this Toyota Tacoma. Now, usually I save this for my classes and some of my students, but I want to get this out there as public information because this will help a lot of the dealers that don't know any better overbidding on cars. Now, we're going to scan this car and we're going to give you some information. We're going to kind of walk you through the app. Unfortunately, I'm using my cell phone as we record this, so I'm going to try to do my best to go back and forth, so bear with me. But I really want to get this information out here because every day I go to the auction, I watch these people overbid the hell out of these cars. I can go there and tell them, hey, look, what you just bought that car for is what they're retailing out on the street. No, look, MMR says this. I'm going to get this. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to retail it. And they get home, they do the research, they add it up. Car Gurus tells them they're like super overpriced. And these guys are just, it's very hard to share any information with dealers. If you're a dealer, put in the comment section below. If you're new to this, say, hey, look, I'd like to learn. I want to find out some more stuff about this. If you have any tips and tricks for any of the other dealers, put in the comment section below. But I will tell you right now, a lot of dealers are extremely stuck in their ways. Every time we talk about new software, how to run ads for your dealership, anything that's new and different that makes them uncomfortable, they don't want to do it. So anyways, enough rambling. Let's actually scan the car and get into it. So on every car with Laser Appraiser, you can scan the barcode itself, which will give you the numbers, or if you even have the VIN number on a piece of paper, this will do either. So if it's an auction car, you could scan there, or you could scan the QO card, which is usually the sticker on the side of the window. But for this one, we're just gonna do the barcode right here and pull up some information. So we brought this back to the studio because unfortunately it was too hot outside. My phone kept overheating every time I tried to film. Plus I was sweating like a complete fat ass. So I figured this would be very important information that we want to digest and go over it slowly. So like I said, now we're back into the studio. So once you get your phone and you scan the car, the first thing that's going to come up is the actual information of the vehicle. It's going to give you the VIN breakdown, and then if you look here to your right, you'll see that it has a little thing saying upload picture. What that is if you're at an auction or if you've looked at multiple vehicles and you need to remember this one particular one, you could snap a picture with it and put it in there. This is very helpful if you're bidding on multiple cars. So sometimes when we do like rental car buyouts, when we go and there's like 13 Nissan Altimas, we take pictures of each one so this way we know which one is which, the condition, other things like that. Also, if you look right here, it says lane and run number. Now, if the auction is connected to your app, it'll automatically give you the lane and the run number. So this way, you know where it's at, which lane to camp out in to wait for this particular car. If for some reason it's not, and it's not connected to the actual app, you can go ahead and enter that information in manually, so this way you do not miss the car, and it'll actually adjust itself in your listing inside your app. Now, color, you obviously can add that if you want, but the big thing is notes. It's very important that you use this tab when you first get started. So if we're looking at this Toyota Tacoma, we walked around it, let's say everything is good, but we saw maybe 2 of the tires were about 10%, so we're going to need some new tires. And since it's a nice truck, we might as well get a matching 4 set, so this way it looks a little bit better. Maybe get something more aggressive off-road. Also, let's say there's 2 dents in there. Make sure you put repair 2 dents, 2 rear quarter panels. If the dent's as big as your fist, remember $275 to $350 a panel. So add that into your estimate, whether it's going to be $500 to fix or $750. And then enter all that information in, and that's the first part. The next one you're going to go to is what's called Dealer Studio. This is very important. This is where it starts linking the information that Laser Appraiser has with your current market and what values are. So you can put in your reconditioning costs. So let's say you're going to put in $1,000. We think that the appraised value is somewhere around $30,000. We want to make a net profit of $2,000. We enter that in there, and then you can see the asking price automatically calculates $33,000. Our pricing ranked out of 30, we're 11, so we're a little bit above the pack. Market adjustment price, we're about 95% of what the market value is, and we're about 12, ranked 12 in that one. Now, you can play with this, and you can kind of see how the matrix start to play, and this is going to play a big part into why a lot of dealers overpay for cars, and it doesn't make sense. Now, the next thing we're going to go to right here is MMR. If you look at MMR, you can see that the average auction is about 30 grand. So MMR adjusted is about 28,000. Adjusted retail is about 31,000. Highs of 33, lows of 21. So it's a very big gap. Now, I'm not going to go too much into Manheim because if everybody has that stupid app, you could download it if you want and you can see the market price. But remember these numbers. I'm going to leave this up here for a second. Now, the next one we're going to go to is your Black Book. Now, if you look at Black Book, it has different things: stock, clean, extra clean, rough, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of look at the numbers and you can see that that's a little bit different than actual Manheim. Okay, now let's go ahead and we're going to go to auto auctions. Once again, if you look at the different things on the posting, you can see that the prices vary just a little bit depending on the vehicle. Now remember, keep all this stuff in mind. Now the last one we're going to talk about is Kelley Blue Book. If you look at Kelley Blue Book, it is different than all of them. So the reason why I want to show you this and the reason why Laser Appraiser is so important is you need to know, one, what your banks buy, what books do they use to value the opinion, and if you're doing like international or interstate wholesaling, brokering, stuff like that, sometimes you can buy cars cheaper in some states compared to other ones. This is how you kind of leverage up and get better at buying. So let's say you go out and you go to use Black Book and you're like, okay, this car says that clean retail is $32,000. But then you're basing this off of Black Book. But let's say your bank uses Kelley Blue Book. If you look at Kelley Blue Book, clean retail is $35,000. So you actually made $2,000 more with pushing your car from a bank that uses Black Book to a bank that uses Kelley Blue Book. Now, this works in a positive sense. Now, if you based your numbers off of, let's say, the opposite way, and you overpaid for the vehicle, and then you go to your bank to try to finance it, and for some reason they're only giving you $33,000 for the max amount financed, now you're in trouble. You're like, well, I was basing it off a $35,000 retail, so I paid $33,000 for it at the auction. And they're like, oh, well, sorry, buddy. It's going to cost this much with your bank fees, everything else. And that's where people get stuck. If you don't know which banks you use and what type of books they use, you could be in for a lot of trouble. I tell everybody, you get a folder and you get what's called a bank book, and you put all their information in it. They'll usually give you a sheet, what years they buy, what models they don't like, what models they do like, LTV, how many months do they do, max amount finance, minimum amount finance. You put all the facts in there. And a lot of times I put just a one big page so you can have all that information. And then right there in the corner, put what they use to pull, like not only credit bureaus, because some banks use Equifax, some use Experian, some use TransUnion. So as you look at their credit, you can realize which banks you could funnel into. Also, we need to know which book they're using, because if they're power booking out of like Kelley Blue Book, you're safe. But they may use NADA. So now you got to make sure that if you buy a certain car and you know that it's for this bank, you buy it using the NADA's information. So this way you're not upside down and you're buying with the bank. But even though if you look across here, JD Power's even in there too, all these different appraisal amounts are all different. Why is that? It's because it's all fluctuating with different markets, different research, different information. And this stuff changes constantly. One thing I'm going to tell you as a dealer is I'm one of those guys that used to walk into the auction. I would look at a car and be like, yeah, that's $26,000. Yeah, that book is $37,000. Don't rely on how the car business used to be. In today's market, in my head, I'm looking at this car like, yeah, that's only like a $26,000 car. And then all of a sudden I see it go at the auction for $32,000. The market makes no sense. And especially when it's fluctuating this crazy, it's very important that you use these numbers to guide you. Get that stuff out of your head that I know it all, I know the book, I know the condition. Bullshit. Because you can think in your head this car is worth 40 grand all day long, but at the end of the day, it matters what the banks are going to buy. And you can see right here, every bank uses one of these books that we just showed you. And if you overpay, you're going to be stuck with this inventory. And you want to get in the habit of searching all these. And that's the great thing. All these pricing are on one single app. You don't have to go to multiple things and check it all out. It's all on Laser Appraiser. And that's why I love it, is because you could take 2 seconds, look at it, be like, okay, if I send this to Westlake Financial, they're good. I know if I send this to Bank of America, they're good. If I know I send this to Wells Fargo, iaai, different banks buy different books. So now you can look and already start pre-qualifying that car for a certain consumer in the future. Now, the thing that's going to set all these things apart is the actual market, retail market. Now, this is very important, and a lot of people screw up in this. Now, you can brag to your friends that, yeah, I bought this car, it's back a book, I ripped it at the auction, blah, 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 blah. Look at this app. This app is the greatest thing on earth, I'm telling you. You could scan the car, and right here, if you look at retail market, it'll tell you all the different pricings for the vehicles. It'll say how long they've been there, what's the average price, is it on Car Gurus, Auto Trader, stuff like that. And if you look at the bottom here, you can actually click on some of these individual cars, the listings, and you can go directly to the listing and it'll show you how your vehicle stacks up. So if you're thinking in your head, well, you know what? I'm gonna buy this and sell this Toyota. It's really nice. I'm gonna lift it and sell it for $44,000. And then you look here, there's 29 complete. We have an SRT TRD off-road. There's only 8 of those. The highest price is $38,000. So right from the get-go, if we price ours like around 40, we're already over the book. And the average one has been sitting for a little over 27 days, which is not too bad. But if there's all these other ones and they're just as nice, why would they want to buy yours? That's where the dealer studio goes in. It's comparing your car to the other cars in the market. And this is very important. So even if you buy a backup book and you think you got a screaming deal, if you bought this car and there's 200 others in your market that are even cheaper than yours, now you're screwed, because even though you technically bought it back a book and you're saving money, you're doing it right, you could still get hung up with having an oversaturated market. Now, this is really good numbers for dealers, brokers, wholesalers, car flippers, as well as rental car companies. These are the numbers that you're going to need to know to make sure you set yourself up for long-term success. Now, one other thing that I'm going to touch on, it's very important that this is really solid information. Now, this works great for a little bit more modern cars, like 2010 and above. When it comes to cheaper cash cars, it doesn't matter what the book is. You're gonna hear me say this, I do it all the time. If somebody comes up to me and says, well, Kelley Blue Book says that this 2003 Tahoe is $3,000. I want it for $3,000. I'm like, okay, why don't you go find a clean 2003 to 2005 Tahoe in Las Vegas for $3,000? You're not going to find one. They're all $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. The market is wacky. So when it comes to cheap, affordable cars, I always tell people I go off of what the value is when it comes to the market. It's only worth what it's going to pay. So if you're looking online and you're looking at buying, let's say, a 2007 Chevy Tahoe, and yours has about 160,000 miles, and you see a bunch of them for 160,000 miles for like 12 grand, 13 grand, you're safe. You could sell it for that. No problem. You know, even though it's technically overbooked, that's kind of the market of where you're at. So when you're doing cash cars, you know, get in the habit of using this too, but also double check your market. The retail market app feature on this is great, especially when you're a dealer, because you want to check out your competition. But when you're doing cheap cash cars, like I said, do that research. Check OfferUp, Craigslist, Facebook, because whatever your market predicts is what you get. Perfect example, I have a friend of mine, we send him old Silverados, old Ford F-150s, Tahoes, anything that's 4x4. Here it's $3,000, $4,000. We send it up to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Anything that's not rusted, 7 Gs all day long. As soon as we send them up there, sold. So just because it's the same car and the book is here is one thing, it's completely different in the other. So pay attention to that. Learn your market when it comes to that as far as cash cars. For the rest of you guys, live and die by Laser Appraiser. Now, I'm not sponsored by this video. I'm not getting paid by Laser Appraiser. I wanted to give you guys this information because the market is completely turning and it's gonna get really ugly. So unless you stay on top of information like this and you start training yourself for something new, experienced, educated, older dealers, I'm gonna talk to you right now. You are never too old to stop learning. I've shown this app many a times to a lot of dealers and they refuse to use it. I know the books, I know the market, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, the market's gonna bite you in the ass here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. You know, you're gonna see these numbers fluctuating, and then 6 months from now, all these people are gonna be stuck with overpriced inventory. They're not gonna know what their banks are lending on. The book could change at a moment's notice. So, like I said, if you're living and dying off of memory, or you're so used to MMR, you could see these numbers are skewed by thousands of dollars. That's such a huge amount. That's the difference between you making profit and going into the hole. So that's why it's very important that you use these tools that are here available. Now, if you go ahead and you click on the link below, there's a app, you could download it, you get a 7-day free trial. I asked them if they could do this for me because it's a big thing for my students, but now I want to share it with everybody because this is the time to do it. So go ahead, sign up, use Lucky as your promo code, and you'll get 7 free days. I'm telling you, play with this application. If it doesn't change your life, I'll be truly shocked. This thing will make you money, it'll show you the information, and you'll be able to get set up. And not only can you connect all these things, you can connect Carfax, auto check, everything on one app. So you can literally scan it and within 5 seconds know whether it's worth buying or not. I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest things. Now that we went over this stuff, we're gonna go ahead and head back outside and we're actually gonna go over what it actually takes to physically appraise a vehicle and some of the things we look for. So now we're going to be talking about how to do a physical inspection on a car to find out what its value is. So we already went over all the books, we went over the market research, what the banks are going to buy. Now we need to do a thorough inspection. So usually when I buy a car, I try to buy them, like I said, away from the auction. The reason why is you get more time to look at some of the stuff that we're going to talk about now. You don't always have to purchase through the auction. You can purchase through regular people. I get, like I said, 80 to 90% of our deals off the auction. I'll go to Facebook, Craigslist, OfferUp, whatever it is, find a good car, call the customer up, make an offer, come out, take a look at it, and go through the car. So I always tell people, very first, walk around it 2-3 times, really double check. You know, I usually look at the paint. Unfortunately, my car's wrapped, so it's a little bit hard to show that. But also, when you see a wrapped car, if you can't see underneath the paint, try to open up some of the panels. There's gonna be a few reasons why. There's a lot of people that put body kits on and stuff like that, and they don't actually paint their cars. So if you look right here, you can actually see that my car is basically white. The original color was white. So if it's matching all the way around, we see white in the inside and through the pillars and everything else, we know that this color is matching. Also, there are VIN stickers, stuff like this one you can see right here. This helps you identify if any of the original OEM panels have been replaced, because a lot of these stickers are not here. So even though you maybe check the auto check or the Carfax, the car could still be in an accident. And especially right now, a lot of these dealers, wholesalers, and brokers are running absolute dog shit through the auction. So you need to double check and go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, because there's a lot of these guys that are buying stuff from Copart, barely Mickey Mousing it so it runs and drives, just to throw it back up online. So little stickers like this, little details here and there. When you're looking like at some of the trim, you can see the screws here. You know, make sure that everything is actually in place, especially with high dollar cars, because you could literally lose a lot of money when it comes to stuff like this. Now, lately I've been buying a lot of high-end repos, Ferraris, McLarens, and that Aston Martin you guys saw, which I normally don't do. I like to stay with the cheaper stuff because you don't lose your money as quickly. You can make a few more mistakes, stuff like that, where cars like this, if you make a mistake, it costs you a lot of money. And the worst thing is you won't get it back. So now that we got that kind of looked over, we're gonna look at some of the wheels, some of the suspension, you know, just basic stuff that you're looking at. Now, I'm actually shooting this with a selfie stick. Now, I don't carry the selfie stick around just for YouTube. I had this long ago, because the reason why, I use this and I actually look underneath the car. So I'm just gonna show you, it's gonna look kind of funny with the video, but literally we'll like go underneath the car, we'll shoot a video. Actually, here, let me pull this out so this way you guys can see. We'll actually look underneath. I'm not sure what you guys saw, but you know, I used to look for catalytic converters, stuff like that, because especially now in this economy, catalytic converters are getting stolen all the time. So what these guys are doing is they'll straight pipe the car, they'll well bung so you can put the O2 sensors, and they clear the check engine light. So now you're thinking you got a good car, everything is great. Once you drive it out, you get a check engine light for a catalytic efficiency. You get underneath there, now you're gonna need $1,800 worth of catalytic converters, and that just basically blew your budget out of the water, where a $20 selfie stick can definitely help you with that. I use this for looking into motors and engine bays. So we got the R8's engine bay open right here. You can literally stick this down, film underneath the valve covers, look at some of the timing, see if anybody's messed with it before you got in a hang with it. And all this you can do with a $20 selfie stick. People used to laugh when they'd see me crawling around and people looking under cars. I just got my selfie stick stuck underneath there, filmed it, turned on the light, did some really good research, and even if you want to get really tricky, there's an iPad where you can transfer this picture onto your iPad and literally use it as a finder just to go through and see if there's any leaks under the car. But this is a really easy way to see if there's any type of like leaks on your motor, your transmission, if there's other issues you can't see, maybe missing catalytic converters, maybe some damaged suspension parts. Also, a lot of really shitty framework. I've seen a lot of cars where people buy at the Copart and they'll pull a quarter panel, but if you look underneath, it still looks like chrome pulled up tin foil, because they're hoping you don't look at that. So some of these things can be solved with a selfie stick. Another thing you're gonna need, a lot of dealerships and a lot of auction houses will not let you have scanners in the auction. That's why I have one of these. The reason why is a lot of dealers are getting clever. They know that, you know, people are gonna scan their cars or showing up with things like this, so they're resetting the codes. So this is really big with CVT trannies. So if you're buying a lot of cars with CVT transmissions, Nissans, Volvos, Ford Focuses, Ford Fusions, damn near every car now has CVT trannies. A lot of the defaults will not kick in until you've gone at least 2 to 3 miles. So if you clear it, gets it out of limp mode, and you can go ahead and drive it. So they clear it right before they take it to the auction, and then they're hoping that when you go for your test drive, it's fine, and then by the time you're driving it back from the auction, that transmission code hits, and then you're screwed. But with this, we plug it in, we look to see the pressures of the transmission, we also see if they've cleared all the actual monitors. If all the monitors have been reset and they obviously just cleared the check engine light before they got there, 9 times out of 10, I'll think the worst case scenario and I won't bid as high. Now, sometimes it just happens because the battery's dead whatever else. But that's the main reason why I always bring one of these, because if the monitors are set, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. I'll bid more accordingly. If, you know, I know the catalytic converters are there, I know the transmission is not bad. And in some of these newer cars with these secondary air pumps, it's crazy. Like we had a, I can't remember, I think it was a GL 450, but it had a secondary air pump that was bad. And I think it was about $600 for a new one, which is not a whole lot of money. But if you're overpaying at the auction right now and it's getting very, very expensive and the bids are bidding competitive, every little dollar saves you a lot of money. And so if you buy one of these cars and it has, you know, a bad transmission, maybe the monitor's incomplete, so now you know maybe it's missing a catalytic converter, secondary air pump's bad, you know, whatever the case is, these are some of the things you run into. So always double check that stuff before you bid. And once you look at these things, make sure that if you see dents on the hood, scratches on the taillight, everything else, take that dollar amount from the way that you bid, because a lot of people, and that's what dealers do, they get super excited. They'll scan this car, MMR say it'll be worth, you know, $200,000. So they'll run up there, hey, 200K for this Audi. And then next thing you know, oh, well, it needs a clutch, it needs some brake work. And I don't know if you saw my Instagram stories, we just did the brakes on that Aston Martin, $6,000, and that's my cost for brakes and rotors. So, you know, just something small like that can blow your thing way out of the water. And I've seen a lot of cars, even cheaper than this, that have carbon ceramic brakes that could cost upwards of that kind of money. I can't remember if it's the Hyundai Genesis or one of the other ones, but there's another affordable economy car that actually has carbon ceramic brakes, and it's crazy expensive. They come straight from Brembo, which is hilarious. But that's some of the things you have to worry about and think about as you're bidding these cars. Now, another thing I tell people to do is, like I said, buy them away from the auction, because now I could take this car, I could drive around for 20-30 minutes, I could talk to the customer, I could take it on the freeway. Stuff like this, you want to have more time with it to drive. When you're at the auction, most auctions won't even let you drive them anymore, or they give you a small track the size of a parking lot, so all you can do is circles or maybe left-hand turns. Maybe this transmission or differential screeches or makes noise when you take a right. You have no idea. So you always want to try to get as much driving time, the higher the dollar amount goes. Plus, when you're with the person, at least you can kind of tell. If the person's like well kept, I know this is going to sound really bad and judgmental, but if they're well kept, the car's in a really clean area, more than likely the car's been taken care of. But if you go to a really bad area, the car's just covered in dirt, full of garbage, McDonald's bags all in the back, do you think he's really going to take the time to buy all the preventative maintenance and everything else? Also, make sure you check when you come to these Highline and exotic cars and even Mercedes and stuff, because a lot of these scheduled services run in the thousands. So you may buy one of these cars thinking, oh, I got to back a book for $2,000, and then you find out that to get that service light that keeps dinging every 5 seconds off your dash may cost you $4,000 to $8,000 to get off. So make sure you keep that in mind before you purchase these. So those are a few of my tips and tricks. Like I said, I'm actually on my way to LA, so if you're in LA, hit me up on Instagram. It's Lucky Lopez. That's all you gotta do. My name now, no more automotive.life. I was fortunate enough to get my name. We're gonna be over there. We're gonna buy a few repos. We're gonna look at some stuff. We're gonna visit some dealers. I'll probably be there for Thursday, Friday, and maybe even Saturday, depending how it goes. But anyways, I wanna thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next video.